quick question. How many of you have a smartphone? Put your hands up. Or maybe a better question would be, is there anyone in this room who doesn't have a smartphone? Right, I'd like to ask you to turn your phones off, just for a moment, just for this duration of this talk. Just a little social experiment, nothing to worry about. So please turn them off. I've already turned mine off. Okay, why was that so difficult? What is so hard about turning our phones off for a moment? Why are we so reluctant? Well, there's many possible reasons why. Perhaps one reason is that our phones have become some sort of extension of ourselves. When you're without your phone for a short while, an afternoon or even an hour, does it not make you feel incredibly anxious? Now, I don't know about you, but I wasn't born with a smartphone glued to my hand. But since around 2007, the year the iPhone was launched, and especially over the past decade, we've seen a rise of technology and the smartphone, and it's revolutionized the way we communicate today. Let me put it this way. According to a recent study, an estimated 92% of the world use the Google search engine. But it was only founded in 1998. That's a mere 26 years ago. Communication has never been easier. Gone are the days of snail mail. Hello, instant messages. Our smartphones are tiny little supercomputers, basically an entire world of information in your pocket. Entire libraries, books, music, news. We're now able to virtually communicate with anyone, anywhere, anytime. And it's brought us closer, of course, no doubt. But has it? Has it made our lives more convenient? Yes. The results that we want? Not necessarily. It feels surreal now. 2 years ago, I was locked in my apartment during the Shanghai COVID lockdown. 60 days straight, 2 months alone. I had my phone, my laptop, all the relevant tech to stay connected. Zoom, Teams, Instagram, WeChat, WhatsApp, you name it, I had it. And I was more disconnected than ever. Isn't that ironic? I believe that isolation during the COVID pandemic showed us this problem that we as individuals and as a society are still facing. And it's the immense disconnect from each other, despite, or maybe because of, the world of hyperconnectivity we now live in. Despite the advancements in technology, has communication on a personal and a societal level somehow gotten worse? I think the answer is yes, and it's time we rethink the way we communicate. Okay, picture yourself starting a normal day in a normal week. How does it start? Your alarm goes off. Maybe you press snooze a few times. My phone doubles as my alarm, and it's right next to me on my bed. I think that's common for many of us. We don't even get out of bed before we're checking to see what happened overnight and who's messaged us. And for many of us, this is the new normal. To check notifications within minutes of waking up. Autopilot. Most of us can't leave our phones at home without feeling uneasy, anxious, incomplete. Now, communication is central to what it means to be human. We're social creatures by nature. Even the most introverted of us crave some form of human connection. But the way we use technology dehumanizes our communication with each other. Think of it this way. We all know how important body language is, gestures, facial expressions, and how it impacts the way we communicate and how we understand each other. Think, for example, of the reassuring warmth of a smile from someone who's listening to you and how that helps you know they're following. Think of how important eye contact is and how devastating it can feel when it's missing. But navigating the tone of digital communication, it's different. By default, there is no eye contact, not even in video calls. And the widespread use of emojis in our text is a symptom of this problem, an attempt to compensate for missing expression and emotion. Many of us now rely heavily on text in both our professional and our personal lives, and it's convenient. Of course it's convenient, but it's also impersonal. Worse, it's unnatural, inhuman. Modern day technology cannot replace real, live human interaction. And I see this problem in my work all the time, working in strategic communications to facilitate industry-government dialogue. That's what we do at international chambers. Strengthen government relations on both sides to help companies, advocate for companies working in China. First for 3 years as a communications manager at the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China, and now at the American Chamber of Commerce in Shanghai. And it's made me think. During the 3 years of COVID and the early post-COVID era, I experienced firsthand the problematic nature of our over-reliance on digital media, partly enforced due to the external circumstances, in this case, the pandemic. And I was able to see the results of how much more we could achieve once face-to-face meetings resumed. Let me give you an example. Let's take the 2022 EU-China Virtual Summit as an example, branded as a dialogue of the deaf by the EU Foreign Policy Chief, where after 3 years of no meetings, geopolitical tensions had increased a lot. Now, 2023 was a massive turning point in the sense that there was an unprecedented number of diplomatic visits from the EU to China. I'm talking not only from the highest level for the entire bloc, from the European Commission, President von der Leyen, multiple executive vice presidents, the EU Foreign Policy Chief, but also at a national level, national leaders and top ministers. And they made sure they met with the EU Chamber of Commerce to get a better understanding of the challenges that businesses were facing on the ground, face to face. And shortly after, we saw a number of visa exemptions for a significant number of EU countries and the creation of a high-level EU-China financial working group. These people-to-people exchanges helped to rebuild the bridges that had eroded over 3 years of virtual-only communication. As a society, I think we've lost that human touch. Think of it this way. When you hear of the phrase social media, the emphasis is on the word social, right? Well, ironically, social media has made us less social. Out of the 8 billion people currently on this planet, many of which are young children, an estimated 4.9 billion use social media in 2023. Now, most social media platforms are free to use in the sense that you don't have to pay money to use them. But you've probably heard the saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Your time, your attention. Social media companies are selling you and your time spent on their platforms to advertisers. Of course, it's their incentive to make their platforms as addictive as possible and as addictive as they possibly can be. Can anyone really be surprised that so many studies have found a correlation between heavy social media usage and an increased risk of depression, loneliness, and anxiety? And this is our new normal. At the start of this talk, I asked you to turn your phones off. I wonder, how many times do you think you would have checked it by now if they were still on? If you ever turned it off, that is. Digital communication, it's an amazing toolbox. But technology should be a tool that serves us and not the other way around. Let's try to overcome our reliance on technology and focus more on face-to-face interactions, spending both time and space together in person and strengthening our relationships. Are we in control of technology, or does technology control us? So how about we actually do this? Let's step away from the screen and let's get face to face. Thank you.